Will Smith's story isn't a simple rise to fame. It's a tapestry woven with ambition, pain, humor, and relentless determination. Will isn't just a memoir. It's a reflection on what it means to chase perfection while hiding vulnerability. To build walls of discipline so high that no one, not even yourself, can see inside. Growing up in West Philadelphia, Will learned early that hard work wasn't optional. His father, a strict disciplinarian, taught him that nothing worth having comes easy. The image of Will and his brother building a brick wall over a year, laying brick by brick with painstaking precision, became a metaphor for his entire life. Focus on the next brick, not the whole wall. And yet, behind that wall, there was a child craving approval, driven not just by ambition, but by a deep-seated fear of failure and rejection. His talent was undeniable. From rapping on street corners, to winning a Grammy, to becoming the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But his need for control, his obsession with being the best, often masked his insecurities. Will admits to crafting a persona that was always on, always the entertainer, always the life of the party, even when inside he was breaking. The book reveals the personal toll of living at full speed, the strained relationships, the moments of shame, the heavy burden of being everyone's hero. But it's also a story of resilience. Will found his way through the chaos not by running from it, but by confronting it head-on. Therapy, reflection, and the willingness to face his own demons allowed him to rebuild not just his career, but his understanding of self. He talks about his marriage to Jada, the complexities of fatherhood, the public missteps, and the private lessons learned through pain. He shares how, at the height of his fame, he realized that success without peace is empty. The Will Smith everyone knew, the charming, confident, charismatic star, was a mask he'd worn so long that he forgot where it ended and he began. Through Will, we learn that true power doesn't come from applause or accolades. It comes from knowing yourself, embracing your flaws, and finding joy in the journey rather than the destination. He tells stories of global adventures, of stepping into roles that challenged his identity, of discovering that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up anyway. He reflects on his relationship with fear, acknowledging how it shaped his decisions, both good and bad. He reminds us that failure is inevitable, but quitting is a choice. Will's story is filled with moments of laughter, of hard lessons learned, of triumphs celebrated and losses endured. It's a reminder that success is messy, that growth is uncomfortable, and that the real measure of a person isn't how high they climb, but how they rise after falling. And then there's the quiet wisdom, the moments when Will steps back from the spotlight and looks inward. He talks about the power of visualization, of seeing the future so clearly that your actions align to create it. He shares how, in moments of doubt, he returned to his journals, to the scribbled plans and dreams that anchored him. He speaks of his grandmother's faith, the quiet strength that came from knowing that no matter how far he traveled, he was never truly alone, and of the lessons he learned from failure, not as a stop sign, but as a pivot point. When Wild Wild West flopped, he didn't crumble, he recalibrated. When personal struggles threatened his foundation, he leaned into therapy, into meditation, into the hard, honest work of facing himself. He learned that love isn't a performance, it's a practice. That being a good partner, a good father, a good man, isn't about grand gestures, but about showing up every day with humility and intention. Will's journey through fame, family, and personal growth isn't linear. It's a series of green lights, red lights, and detours, much like McConaughey's. But where Matthew leans into the signs, Will's path is about making choices even when the signs are unclear. It's about taking ownership of your narrative, about writing your own story, one decision at a time. He invites us to consider the masks we wear, the performer at work, the peacemaker at home, the friend who's always fine. And he asks, what would it look like to take off the mask? To show up as yourself, messy and real? Not for applause, but for peace. He reminds us that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength. That the moments when we feel lost are often the moments when we're closest to being found. And that the greatest performance isn't on stage. It's the quiet decision to be fully present in your own life. Will's reflections on fatherhood are particularly poignant. He talks about wanting to be the dad he never had, about balancing discipline with love, about the humbling moments when his kids taught him more than any award or role ever could. He speaks of watching them grow, of recognizing that legacy isn't built on accomplishments. It's built on presence, on love, on the quiet moments of connection. He also acknowledges the ego, the voice that tells us we have to be perfect, that we have to win, that we have to prove our worth. He shares how learning to quiet that voice was one of his greatest challenges and one of his greatest triumphs. Because on the other side of ego is freedom. The freedom to be, to grow, to love without conditions. Through Will, we're reminded that success is a moving target, that it's not about the destination, but the journey, not about the applause, but the alignment between who you are and how you show up. And so, as you listen to this reflection, consider your own story. The bricks you've laid, the masks you've worn, the dreams you've chased. Ask yourself, where are you building walls? And where can you open a window? Where are you performing? And where can you be present? And remember that, like Will, your story isn't finished. It's being written with every decision, every word, every breath. So slow down, breathe, trust the process. Know that the green lights will come, that even the red lights have lessons, that you are enough, not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you're becoming.